Hello everybody, today we're going to see which way another state might be trending for 2024. And this time this state better have a lot to show us. It's going to be the show me state of Missouri. Now what we're looking at right here are the presidential shifts between 16 and 20. Red lines move toward Trump, and blue lines move toward Biden. The vertical lines indicate turnout. And if you focus in on Missouri, there are some red lines. Those are mostly in the smaller counties, but there is a lot more blue where the population is. So this used to be one of the premium bellwether states. It wasn't all that long ago this state was actually competitive, but over the past decade and a half, these 10 electoral votes have pretty much become reliably red territory. So let's look at some of the recent presidential history. Well, last time Trump won it by double digits, about 15 points. He actually put up the exact same amount as he did in 2016. With less third-party vote in 20 than 16, Biden did more than 3 points better. But going back to 2008, this was an extremely close battleground. McCain barely carried the state by only about 0.1%. It was close in 2000, but at last went blue for Bill Clinton, where he was able to win the state twice. So let's go in closer on the 2020 election. So again, we see Trump close to 57%, while Biden is over 41. Not a ton of third-party vote this time. Joe Jorgensen had the most, with close to 1.5%. Now we'll come back to some of the counties in just a minute, but if we go down here and sort by the total number of votes cast, we can see that the most populous county is St. Louis, and that is not to be confused with the city of St. Louis. That is technically its own independent city, and that's apart from the rest of the county. So in St. Louis County, Biden won it very easily by 24 points. Now on the other end of the state, there's the second most populous county, that's Jackson, that has the city of Kansas City. It's a similar story for Biden, another 22-point win. Now the most populous county that Trump was able to win is St. Charles, that has the northern suburbs of St. Louis. He carried it by double digits, but it was a narrower margin than it was in 16. So all in all, there's 114 counties here, and Biden was able to win just 3 plus St. Louis. If you scroll down to the lower population counties, you can see Trump running up gigantic margins. Many times he's easily winning by 50 or 60 points. And that's the margin, not the percentage that he got. So let's get on Ballotpedia and take a look at some of these trends. Let's start right in the city of St. Louis itself. Now that's the overwhelmingly blue part of the state that is separate from St. Louis County. And the vote here actually has not really changed that much going back to 2012. Both Obama and Biden are at about 82, while Trump is at about 16. Now if you go out just a little bit there into St. Louis County, there you can see between 16 and 20 with less third-party vote, Biden went up about 6 points while Trump went down about 2. Now the suburbs are a familiar battleground, and if we go north to St. Charles County, we can see these suburbs here are still very red. However, the trends here do look like they're going toward the left. Biden's doing about 6.5 points better than Hillary did, while Trump is doing about 2 points worse than he did the first time. Now the other suburbs to the south in Jefferson County, there we could see back in the days of Obama, it was about a 12-point win for Romney. After that, it did lurch to the right. Trump won it by about 35 points. Last time, Biden went up a little bit, while Trump also went up a little bit himself. Ultimately, the margin narrowed very slightly to about a 34-point win for Trump. Let's go west to where the state capital is, Jefferson City. That's in Boone County. Between 16 and 20, Biden went up about 5 points, while Trump went down about 1. And let's keep going all the way west to Jackson County, where Kansas City is. Good chunk of population here, and again, it's a familiar pattern where Biden went up about 5 points between 16 and 20. Meanwhile, Trump was flat at 38, but ultimately not a lot of change here from the days of Obama. Now, if you want to look at the Kansas City suburbs, we could go north to Clay County. Here again, Biden had a big jump between 16 and 20, while Trump went down very slightly. So the trends here do look like they've headed toward the left. Another county you might want to take a look at is Greene County. That has the city of Springfield. This is a fairly red county. Trump won it by 20 points. However, compared to 2016, again, we see Biden. He went up by about 6 points, while Trump went down about 1. So in most of these counties between 16 and 20, with much less third-party vote, we see Biden having a decent gain. Trump, on the other hand, usually has gone down very slightly. Now, we can also hover over some of these low-population counties, and many of those were already super red, even going back to the days of Romney. There are some scattered ones like Clark here in the Northeast. Romney only won that by about 10, but then you could see it went off a cliff toward Trump, and a lot of these small counties add up, and in some of these where Trump is getting over 80% of the vote, that's enough to outweigh these 3 blue dots in this sea of red. So the suburbs are not as red as some other places we've taken a look at. But if those trends did continue, it looks like they would head a little bit more toward the left. But that's a big if. It's going to be 4 years later. Things are different. Trump could revert those trends and make some gains. Meanwhile, Biden is going to be looking to cut into those red counties, even if it's only slightly. Now, we can also pull up this map here that normally shows the precinct level data for 2020. However, the data, for whatever reason, in Missouri is just unavailable. available, but they do have St. Louis and some of the suburbs, so we can pull in there. And there, most of these precincts voted close to unanimous for Joe Biden. He's easily getting in the mid-90s. Now, once you get out of the extreme blue areas, then you can start to see it lighten up and eventually shift to red. But if we click right here, this will show us the shifts between 2016 and 20. There, it's a different story. Now we actually see a ton of blue on here in these suburbs, but there actually is some light red around St. Louis itself. So it looks like Trump has had some small gains here in the urban area, but just outside of that in the suburbs, a lot of movement toward the Democrats. Now we can also take a look at this map here that has the red and the blue arrows. These are the shifts between 16 and 20. The bigger the arrow, the bigger the shift. That big blue arrow around Kansas City actually has some inaccurate data in it, but for the rest, we mostly see red arrows in those less populated counties, but there's still some blue ones scattered in, and we can also click on any of them to get a more detailed breakdown. So if we look at a suburban area like St. Charles County, there we can see between 16 and 20, both Biden and Trump gained raw votes, but Biden gained significantly more. He was at almost 21,000, while Trump was under 6,800. But again, there was a lot less third-party vote this time. It went down more than 60%. That's a raw 3.5% drop all the way down to just 1.8. So throughout all those shifts, Biden went up 6.2 while Trump went down 2.7. So that was a decent shift there for Biden in an otherwise red state. Now there's a lot of different things that have gone into these shifts. One of them could be movement among specific demographics. So here's some national exit polling showing you where the biggest movement was. Biden had the biggest gains with moderates, independents, income 50 to 100,000, white men, and Catholics. Trump had the biggest gains with income over 100,000, Asians, Republicans, black men, and age 30 to 44. So you can also scroll down further to get an additional breakdown. But that's just national. Every state is going to be different. But if you want to take a look at specific exit polling for Missouri, here it is right here. You can see Trump won both men and women. Biden won voters under age 45. Then with education, we see the familiar breakdown. Trump won voters with some college or less. And there's a bunch of other data here you can take a look at if you'd like. One other one I can point out here is suburban voters. They actually broke for Biden by 3 points. And another thing that might matter is going to be the turnout. If we take a look at this map here and hover over Missouri, we can see that in the 2018 midterms, the turnout here was about 53%. In the 2023 presidential election with higher turnout, it went up to 66. The top number is the turnout for the 2022 midterms, and that it fell all the way down to under 45%. So of course, the turnout this year, it should be higher than it was in the midterms. And if you want to look at a high-profile race in those 2022 midterms, here's the last U.S. Senate election. That was an open seat, and it was won by the Republican Eric Schmidt. He won it by double digits, around 13%. So that margin was a little bit less than what Trump did. And if you look at the county map, it's the same red and blue counties, but you can see some of those red counties are just a little bit lighter red. So the last thing we're going to do is take a look at the polling accuracy back in 2020. So again, Trump won it by over 15%, but the aggregate polling had him ahead only by about 8. So that's a significant 7-point underestimation of Trump's support. The individual polls pretty much all did have him ahead, and the state was not expected to be competitive, but still a 7-point miss is fairly embarrassing. So which way is Missouri going to trend? Well, since the days of Obama, this is pretty much a safe red state. It doesn't really get much attention anymore on a national scale. It would seem like Trump is going to win it easily over 10 points yet again, but could Biden potentially make some gains in the suburbs and have the state shift slightly back toward the left? Yeah, that is a possibility. He could also theoretically chip away at some of those 60 or 70 point margins in the red counties, but at the same time, Trump could also make some slight gains in the cities themselves. It's a tough call. Some of those red counties look like they could be maxed out for Trump, but then again, there could still be some ancestral Democrats from a couple decades ago that have yet to cross over to the Republican side. It's not a state that's known for being higher income or higher educated, so that kind of foundation, on paper, it would seem like it's going to be beneficial for Trump. It could all come down to the popularity of the Biden administration, and right now it's not all that great. Everything could even out to where there's just not that much of a shift. So if it moved a point toward Biden or a couple of points toward Trump, I don't think I'd be surprised either way. So let me know in the comments, which way do you think Missouri is going to trend? Do you think Biden is going to make some gains in the suburbs, or do you think they're actually going to move back toward Trump? What about the rural counties? Is there any chance Biden makes some small gains there? And how about in St. Louis and Kansas City itself? Which way is that going to shift? And what do you think the margin is going to be overall? Is it going to be another 15-point win for Trump? Let me know what you think down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to help support the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.